I'm Jack Quaid, and you're watching TrekCulture. Live long and prosper.
Hello everyone and welcome to our What the Hell Just Happened chat for episode 9 of season 3 of Strange New Worlds. Folks, you know how this works at this stage. Spoiler alert, we will be discussing plot details, we will be discussing endings, we will be discussing beginnings and side-to-sides and all the like. But only watch this video once you have seen this week's episode of Strange New Worlds. Ellie and Tom, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm great. Luckily for me, my hand was melted off, but it was reconstructed and I'm doing fine.
Good, because that's how trauma works. What was I going to say? I'm just going to go right ahead and say it. I really enjoyed this episode. Oh, this was a good week. Episode 9, Terrarium of Season 3 of Strange New Worlds. People may have picked up on our slight lack of love for the last 2 episodes, but I think Strange New Worlds is back on form for this remake of Dharma, for this episode of Strange New Worlds. What did you guys think?
I also loved this episode. I mean, yes, it's a tale as old as time. It's a plot device that's been in many things, not just Star Trek, but you know, you have a German soldier and a British soldier that are forced to work together. You know, it's a tale as old as time, but I don't mind that. It's a tale that's important to tell, and I loved it. And even though it was a tale that you can kind of predict, there were things in there that still surprised me. Like, I didn't expect it to be a Gorn until it was a Gorn, and then I went, oh yeah, of course it's a Gorn. But I didn't expect that immediately, which is good. And things like, I was like, this Gorn is not going to make it to the end of this episode. But even so, it didn't end in the way I thought it was going to end. I thought, you know, there's going to be a sacrifice to help Ortegas escape, but the Gorn's going to run out into the storm or whatever. But the way it did end is not where I thought it was going to go. So even though it was predictable, it wasn't at the same time. But I just loved this episode. We finally have an Ortegas episode. Finally. Mm-hmm. Again, not necessarily where I thought they were going to go when we finally got an Ortegas episode, but I think it worked for her character. I think it worked very well. The only thing that I would probably say is because she was alone for a lot of it, a lot of the dialogue was kind of very exposition-filled, talking to herself out loud, which sometimes worked and sometimes felt a little bit unrealistic. Like, yeah, I talk to myself all the time, but when you're listening to the things she's saying, that would make more sense if she was talking to somebody. Even if it had been the Gorn who didn't understand her, it's someone who's a sounding board, as opposed to just literally talking to yourself, because the audience needs to know what's going on.
Agree.
But I would say that's probably my only critique of it. I really enjoyed this episode. It was simple, but it was emotional, just like episode 7. If there's some sort of animal involved, in this case I'm including the Gorn as an animal, it's going to pull at the heartstrings. I loved seeing Ortegas go full on MacGyver, building water creating machines and communicators. Yeah, very strong episode. I liked it a lot.
Excellent. No, I like it. Tom, what did you reckon?
Number 1, the entire time you were speaking, I was thinking Gorn tale as old as time. Number 2, I also really like this episode.
Yay!
Don't worry, everybody. There are things that I was struggling with and could pick apart, so the comments have something to moan about. But as a whole, I did like this episode, and I thought it was an episode that got stronger as it went along as well. At the very beginning, I was like, I don't know about this, but by the end, I was like, no, great time, lots to enjoy. Everything you said, I think, was true. And an interesting thing, Ellie, is that I was thinking about you watching this episode because I felt how you felt during the documentary episode at the end with this one. I didn't feel anything during the documentary episode, but during this one, I got quite emotional. I got teary-eyed. And because, you know, slight manipulation, but that's fine. I don't mind when a TV show or film manipulates you in this way all the time, because sometimes feeling those emotions are good. So I enjoyed that. I like you, anything to do with anything that's like animal based makes you more emotional because you have that kind of, even though it's a Gorn, there's that lack of humanity to it that makes you care about it as more of a pure creature, even though it's a Gorn. So they did that kind of thing.
Did you
well.
find that any other time I've seen the Gorn, I found them quite scary, but in this I was like, how is this Gorn both scary and cute at the same time?
Yeah, I love this Gorn. I love the Gorn practical effects. So seeing it here, I was like, great. I was worried it was going to get a bit goofy, and it did at points, but not enough for me to get annoyed. I think it works just fine. The playing of chess, a bit silly, but it also worked because here's the thing. Strange New Worlds, as I've been saying a lot, I think is confused at what it wants to be, and it takes these big swings, etc. We seem to be liking the more serious episodes a lot more, or at least finding them to be better storylines and better written, right? And the strange silliness of Strange New Worlds in this type of episode works better because it's more subdued and it's just sort of lingering there in the background. So her playing chess with a Gorn was fine. I thought it was silly, but I didn't mind because I was like, this is a bit of a silly show. So this is where that kind of way that the show is worked for me. I did predict what this was going to be quite early on. At first, I knew the Gorn were going to be in it. I've always complained that every episode starts with, this is what this show's character is going to be about, and do you remember this? Because it kind of just tells you what the episode's going to be. So I was like, okay, there's going to be Gorn on the other side of that wormhole. And there was, and I was fine with it because, again, I thought it was a good episode, an interesting episode. It was a strange new world. I've been asking for that for a long time.
Very true.
And the ending upset me because I loved this Gorn. I didn't want it to die. I was happy that when she did the translator, it wasn't just, hello, I am a Gorn and I can speak to you now. I was really worried. I was like, oh no, here we go. Here's where it gets silly. But just the affirmative and negative thing. Is that what she said? Was it that?
Agree and disagree.
Agree and disagree.
Yeah.
That worked really well, and it was a simple sci-fi premise, right? And it made you feel even more emotionally attached to this creature that can only communicate by this simple way. My child brain kicked in, and I was like, can't we just have a Gorn on the ship? Can't they just bring the Gorn back, save the Gorn, and then every once in a while you see the Gorn is working with everyone else, and it's pressing buttons, and then, someone else presses a button, and the Gorn goes at them, and you have a big chuckle. That would have been nice, but no, I knew it was going to die, and it upset me.
But here's the thing as well, because when I watched it, I was like, I said it out loud. Ortegas knows everyone's opinions and feelings towards the Gorn. So why in the hell did she not come out of that bunker going, don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot, I know what it looks like, don't shoot? But they both kind of came out, and she didn't say anything, so immediately they shoot at the Gorn.
Well,
I was like...
From my memory, she kind of stumbles out, and the Gorn tries to help her. So I think that's how they got away with her being like...
Yeah, I just feel like you know they're going to shoot at a Gorn, so you'd come out immediately saying, hey, don't shoot, don't shoot, I know what it looks like, don't shoot, we're all cool here.
Would they also just shoot to kill straight away? Like, is it that obvious? I don't know. You can kind of forgive it.
It's both not very Starfleet, but also ties into what La'an said in episode 7, which is, if you can't kill them first, run away.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because it was La'an. You know her feelings towards the Gorn. If it had been any other character, they might have hesitated.
Yeah.
But La'an is terrified of the Gorn.
It also makes sense to send La'an, so it wasn't like ham-fisted in being like, let's just send the one person who hates the Gorn.
Right.
So that worked as well. Like, it was written well. That's all I've been saying about what I want in Star Trek. I don't care what they do with an episode. I just want it to be well written, and I think this one was. And yes, there's things to dislike. I do think I liked the MacGyver stuff. there was a bit of me that was like, she really can do absolutely anything. She's just made water. Like, that's cool, but like she can do anything. And they have been showing her like tinkering for the last few episodes, which I think is why they've been doing that, to so she doesn't seem like she can just magically do anything she wants. There is a bit of me that thinks she can look at any piece of Gorn tech and know exactly what it is. Is that because of the Gorn stuff inside her? Maybe, but she also knew how to fly the ship of the Gorn straight away. I don't know.
He is a Gorn.
Yeah, there's still that kind of thing that they're not really explaining. And the talking to herself, I agree, was a bit silly, and they tried to play it off by being like, she's recording her log. Oh, the log stopped working. Well, I'll just continue speaking because this is how I'm going to help myself get through this. The stuff that she said and did made sense, but it's one of those things where you go, well, this character's by herself for ages. We need her to speak. I mean, you don't need her to speak, but in a normal, this type of TV show, you think we need her to speak. So
I feel like it would have been better if they hadn't made the log stop working. If they'd have just left it so she was recording a log the whole time, that would have answered that question. But by making it so she can't record the log, that's why it was kind of like, you should have just left it so she was still recording her personal log.
Yeah, it was.
Then it would have made sense.
Strange. Yeah. You know, she is a character who is probably more likely to speak to herself than others because of the way she is. So, like, it's not completely strange. It's just, it felt a bit like a TV show where you need to make the character talk. And yes, I've said before, I hate the quips. There are a million quips in this episode which I did not like, but everybody listening, I'm okay to excuse it because there was so much in this episode that I did like, and the quips only, for me, ruined some aspects of the tension, and other times it worked. I think when she was quipping with the Gorn, that makes sense. You're in a strange place, you're talking with a Gorn who's helping you out. You would say funny things to it because
like
what else?
Coping mechanism.
Exactly. To me, that makes sense. And like, so some of the quips worked for me, some of them didn't. But overall, I just thought it was a strong episode. I have things about Uhura that I'm interested in knowing what you guys think.
I'm very aware that Sean has not had much to say yet. So, Sean, what did you think of this episode?
Feels like an interview with Kate Mulgrew.
And I do it again.
100%. I'd be disappointed if you didn't. What I was going to say, so a few things. First thing I'm going to say is to the people who commented last week, I know my autofocus is all over the place. I'm working on getting a new camera, so I do apologize for everyone who has to see that. I've so much I liked about this episode, and I did like the Uhura stuff, so actually I'm going to get into that. So actually, do you know what? I'll start with that. I quite liked that, and I liked, because of the groundwork that's been laid between Uhura as a character in Strange New Worlds, her relationship with people like Spock, like Pike. Like, does Uhura completely, and she breaks quite a few rules here. She could be putting the ship in danger. This is not good. I think, however, as much as she doctored some numbers, I think it would be different if she was on a different ship with a different crew. Do you know what I mean? I think knowing that Pike is your CO, knowing that, like, there's the MacGuffin of we have to get to X place with the vaccine. There was always going to be one of them, but I think she knew they needed a reason, so she gave them one. That kind of worked for me. I mean, officially, if I was writing the report, I'd be like, how many off the books missions do we have to create this season? Because everyone's in trouble on this ship. But I kind of like that for the tension element of it, and I like that it was addressed. That is not something that would have held up if later on down the line, oh, and do you remember that time you doctored some numbers? I liked that straight away. Pike was like, we all knew, you knew, that it is what it is. We got our person back. So I liked that. And there's an awful lot of stuff I liked about Ortegas, which I'm going to get to in a second. I do have to say the Metrons have not aged well. They were silly in the 60s. They're silly today. It is what it is. And to anyone who didn't like the Metrons, I will say, I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion. It's fine. It's the Metrons. It was the one bit of the episode where I was just like, So I mean, this is not a remake of Darmok. Everything's a remake of Enemy Mine from the 80s anyway. So which Terry Matalas is attached to be making a remake of. So like, that's fine. As you said, Ellie, this is not an original concept. It's not an original idea, which is absolutely fine. Like, I don't care about things like that. Enterprise did it as well. It did trip down on the planet. Obviously, Darmok is probably like the gold standard of how you do this, even though Arena kind of did it. And Arena's obviously a much more sign of like direct comparison to this episode, except they're not fighting. Which I liked.
Yeah.
Because we've done Vicious Gorn. We've done they're just bloodthirsty animals, even though they clearly have technological expertise. We've done that, and I'm glad they didn't do that again. Because otherwise you run the risk of there is no nuance, they're just monsters. So I really, really liked that. I suppose I've kind of come out. I just had to say that thing about the Metrons. I'm sorry it didn't work. Sorry, Metrons, but, go back to Arena. But, and yes, there's the arena of it all, and kind of working out the universal translator, things like that. Then you can kind of think, just thinking other Gorn stories. In A Mirror Darkly, we sort of had the good old CGI Gorn there, and using the universal translator. I don't know. It just worked for me this week. Maybe I wanted it to be good, so I went in with really like high, I'm just going to enjoy everything. We got our Ortegas episode. Obviously I want more. I don't want this to be the Ortegas episode of Strange New Worlds, but I really liked what we got. Melissa Navi was great in it. Plus, it's hard to carry an episode effectively solo. Do you know what I mean? Like, as much as the Gorn is there agreeing and disagreeing, the weight's on Melissa Navio's shoulders, and I think she completely sells it. So really, really liked the Uhura stuff. As in every episode of Strange New Worlds, there's some things where logically you're like, but yeah, overall I just thought strong week, and definitely a step up now from the last couple.
I think, I did comment on this in one of the previous discussions, but I think for this episode in particular, a big shout out to Nami Mud, because the music in this episode plays a large part in making us as the audience feel that bond between Ortegas and the Gorn. And so, if without that music, you wouldn't feel that connection quite so much. So I think that was really, really strong, and it helps with those emotional moments as well. But I also think, for this to be Ortegas' episode, I'm glad that we obviously knew there was going to be something to do with the Gorn in relation to her at some point. I'm really glad that they went down this route, and it was kind of having her face her enemy, but not in a combat situation. Because I think because of the way she was behaving, that kind of rebellious streak that she was going through, I really thought that we were going to go through a phase of her either kind of becoming Gorn or, something aggressive. Whereas I think this was actually much better for her as a character. It was a more interesting story. And yeah, I think it just served her character very, very well. I wrote down that Ortegas is the kind of person I'd like to be marooned on a planet with, because she's so optimistic and positive rather than wallowing in self-pity that they're all doomed and they're never going to be saved. She spent the whole time being like, no, come on, we can do this. We can. And the quips, I think, worked because it was her way of coping with it. I'd much rather be stuck with someone who's trying to make light of the situation and make me feel better than kind of making me feel even worse than I already feel.
Yeah, I think something I've been saying about Strange New World is that it kind of, as a show, started as a character-based show. That was like, each episode is about this character, and then it slowly morphed into more of a genre gimmicky show. And it got to the point where I feel like now it doesn't really know what it wants to be. And I think this episode worked so well because it stripped it back down to a character-based show. It was like, we're going to have a character on a planet communicating with a alien. And it's just a simple way of doing character work rather than having a huge framework of this, that, and so I think that worked in its favor. And the Uhura, I'm not sure about the Uhura stuff. it kind of I got it, and also, again, I don't know how many times I can see a character just sort of blatantly go against protocol, or I know they've done it a lot in Star Trek before the comments tell me I know, but I'm not happy about it. I just think in this show, with again how many episodes we've gotten, it's just every episode is like, how can we break the rules now? So it didn't completely work with me, but I didn't mind it too much. I understood, like, we've had Star Trek episodes before where it's like Uhura and Ortega clearly have a strong bond, so one character is going to try and break the rules to help the other character. Spock did it with Pike in the original series. I do get that. So, like, that part worked for me, just the execution of certain elements I wasn't sure about. I know none of us are scientists.
Speak for yourself.
I am a doctor, though. But having a starship in a wormhole to keep the aperture of the wormhole open felt a little bit silly. But maybe it's a thing that you can do. I don't know.
Science.
I can't say I gave it much thought.
Yeah.
But what I will say about the stuff that takes place on the ship, again, was a real, good exploration of the age-old thing of Star Trek, the needs of the many versus the needs of the few. You've got all of these people that need vaccines. You've got number one constantly reminding them that these people need their help. You've got their one crew member. And despite the fact, again, that it's something that we've seen countless times in the show, I think it's always good to go back to those sorts of morals and questions and things in Star Trek, because they are the basis of what this show is. So I think having enemies forced together to work together for survival, and having a question of the needs of the many and versus the needs of the few, I think the combination of that in this episode, then on top of that, the characters and the performances, I think the combination of all of that made it a really strong episode.
That's something I agree with. Like, Star Trek and everything uses tropes, because I can't remember whose phrase I'm stealing as I say this, but there is no original idea. But that's not a negative, because that leaves everything open to interpretation and for reimagination. So that's fine. And Star Trek uses tropes, and has done since The Cage. It uses tropes of science fiction. It uses tropes of drama, romance, comedy, all the way through. So all the individual parts of this episode we've seen elsewhere in Star Trek and in other things as well. I like how they use them. I like how they come together in this episode. There is a ticking clock and there's vaccines. Grant, cool. I've seen that in another episode. I will go above and beyond to save my friend. How many examples of that? All of that's fine if you do something different with it, which I think for a large part this episode did, because as soon as I saw what was happening, my brain kind of went, so we're doing Darmok. Mm-hmm. But they did it differently.
I think the difference here as well is that it wasn't an unknown species that they had to try and communicate with. It was a known species that there's a history, especially for this particular character with. Yeah. And so it's interesting to see how long is it going to take for that trust to be built. How much of hostility is there going to be to start with? And so yes, it is a used trope, but as you say, it's different to what we've seen before.
There's also kind of, and now all right, Mr. Nitpicker here, the whole universe, the whole planet, it's Ortegas and a Gorn. Now.
Yeah.
But I don't care, because that wasn't the point. I mean, maybe I will include that in my ups and downs. Who knows? Check them out later on today.
Well, there was the other weird space creatures that they were using for sushi.
Yes, the thing that I think turned up in James Swallow's novel Toward the Night, those kind of insecty things, or at least there might have been a nod there. You should check out the book Toward the Night. There's a really cool engineer character.
That was the other thing I said as well when she started eating that meat and something came out the side, and I was like, that looks vile. That looks absolutely... I don't know if I'd be that hungry. She was like, I'm starving. I was like, you've only just crashed. Come on.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
She works out a lot. Her metabolism is moving. You know what I mean?
When I watch scenes like that, all I'm thinking is, I wonder what they actually made that out of, because she did have to eat something. She did have to squeeze goop out of something.
I don't think I'd be very good at
alien
eating
insect.
scenes.
Also,
If I
the
was
big-
in something and they said, right, here you go, the next scene, you've got to eat all of this for however many takes, I don't think I'd be very good at that. Especially if I wasn't hungry at the time. If you just keep making me eat something over and over,
the big insect reminded me of the insect in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock.
Oh yeah.
But I know that one was created because of the Genesis device, so it's not the same thing, but it reminded me of that. But I like that. Yes, what are they called? The mementos? What are they called?
The Metrons.
The Metrons.
I love it.
that's what they're called now.
Yes, silly. And for some reason, TOS was obsessed with Greek gods in
Really
Star
were.
Trek.
And shiny, silvery material.
Yep. I didn't mind it. It looked silly. But again, the silliness in this episode worked for me because it was kind of having it in places rather than it being a silly episode. So I didn't mind that they were doing that. It also, I forgot they were even part of that episode. In my head, when I think of Arena, I just think of the Gorn and him fighting, but I forget that that's the whole point.
Yeah, in a way, you could have taken this version of the Metron, changed nothing, put it into that episode of Arena, and be like, yeah, you look like you were made in the 60s. So like that, in fairness, as silly as they looked, I don't mind. Like, probably a forced line is, we may have to try this again. We know Arena exists.
Yeah. We're going to have
like-
to do this again when Kirk shows up and he looks, and then the Gorn look different, and we'll do it in an arena, and we'll do it in a
It's like I prefer even a line of, we do this a lot, because otherwise, like, wow, we're going to do this once more with your mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, just like, if you're going to do something like that, if you want to use your Metron, absolutely fine. Again, tropes. Just be like, we do this once a year, every year, till we get this right or something. Because yeah, 2 people in all of the galaxy, and they happen to have served on the same ship for a while.
Yeah.
Which it is what it is, But yeah, overall, I thought good episode, penultimate. So there's only 1 episode left in season 3, considering we waited about 960 years for season 3. So I don't think, obviously we don't know yet, but we won't have as long to wait for season 4. So that's nice. But yeah, any closing thoughts?
Just that I really, really liked this episode. I'm just happy that I'm also quite happy that you guys enjoyed this episode as well, because it's all very well us doing these videos and people going, oh, you're so negative all the time. We don't want to be negative. We want to enjoy it. And it's been a little bit sad listening to you two not enjoy the episodes the last couple of weeks when I'm like, I thought it was quite good. So I'm glad you're on board this week.
It's been sad not enjoying the episodes as much, I tell you that right now. And this is like, look, water for ducks back, but you know yourself, we love every episode. We're shills. We have a problem with an episode and we're media illiterate and we didn't get it and everything. That's fine. All of this will always be opinion based. What we thought, what we liked, what we didn't like, and that's absolutely fine. And disagreement is part of it. Absolutely fine as well. So yeah. But also, Chris revealed in the opening for the ups and downs for episode 7, he is getting Paramount checks. Why am I not getting them?
Shall we do our rankings?
Yes.
Who wants to go first?
Not me, because I have to write my ranking.
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Number 1, Terrarium.
Wow.
This episode. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I really enjoyed this episode. I think mostly, again, because similar to what I said for What is Starfleet, this one made me feel things, and that's important to me. And unlike What is Starfleet, which had some elements that then were not so intriguing for me, like the documentary layout made it a little bit more dull, this episode was not that. This was a Star Trek episode, and it made me feel things. So, yeah, number 1, Terrarium. Number 2, The Salat to Ate Its Tail. Number 3, A Space Adventure Hour. Number 4, Wedding Bell Blues. Number 5, Hegemony Part 2. Number 6, 4.5 Falcons. Number 7, What is Starfleet. Number 8, Through the Lens of Time. And number 9, Shuttle to Kenfori.
Ellie hates zombies.
Yay!
Grant, I have my ranking here, so I'm just going to jump straight ahead of Tom. So, last first, What is Starfleet? Number 9. Number 8.
Wait. Why are you doing last first?
I don't know. I just want to.
Okay, well, I'm not changing it in the edit. It's going
Right.
to look how it normally looks.
Okay, well then I'll start with number 1 because I like your face.
Thank you.
Right, number 1, Wedding Bell Blues. Number 2, The Salado Ate Its Tail. Number 3, Terrarium. Number 4, Shuttle to Kenfori. Number 5, Through the Lens of Time. Number 6, Hegemony Part 2. 7, A Space Adventure Hour. 8, 4.5 Vulcans. 9, What is Starfleet?
Lovely stuff. Bloody lovely stuff. Okay, oh Christ, I have to figure out where, let's just give it a go.
Anyone would think you guys didn't know this was coming every time.
I know. I didn't write it down.
How dare you slap us in the face with reality?
Okay, so number 1 is the Salat or Sealat who ate its tail. Number 2 is Terrarium. Which is a hard word for me
It
to
makes
say.
all of our top
Okay.
3.
Yeah.
It's the top 3. Not perfect by any means, but the stuff it does well is so good that I think it's easy to ignore the other little niggling bits, which to me makes a good episode. If all the episodes were like that, wunderbar. Number 3 is Through the Lens of Time. Number 4 is Wedding Bell Blues. Number 5 is Hegemony Part 2. Number 6 is Shuttle to Kenfori. This is where I have to use my brain. Number 7 is 4.5 Vulcans. Number 8 is A Space Adventure Hour. And number 9 is What is Starfleet?
Okay, alrighty. Okay, thank you both. Yous are awesome. So next What the Hell Just Happened video will be the finale.
Ooh.
Ooh.
New life and new civilizations.
Ooh. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. Who knows? Everyone, thank you so much for watching along. Ellie and Tom, thank you so much for joining. Later on, we will have our ups and downs, so I look forward to seeing what you think of that as well. We have also seen the return of the quiz continuum. Come on, Tom, give us it.
The quiz continuum!
Yay! So that's been so much fun as well. Thanks everyone who's enjoying the channel. Thanks everyone, even though we tease. Honestly, thanks people who are taking the time out to comment as well. So we really do appreciate that. We may not always agree, but we do appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts with us. That is really, really important to us. So thank you very much. Everyone, please continue to follow us on the various socials. We're at TrekCulture, except on Instagram, we're at TrekCultureYT. You'll find all of our socials there as well. And until next week, live long and prosper. Put some peace out into the world. Put some kindness out into the world. Just be excellent to each other as much as possible. And everyone who's going through a hard time, you're not alone. You're never going to be alone. So just hopefully you remember that. Thanks very much, folks.